Hi, and welcome to what feels like Christmas morning here at TFL HQ, and that's because our 2016 Jeep Wrangler Sport S is getting some major upgrades on this episode of DiffLock. Now, stock from the factory, the Jeep Wrangler comes with these big, bulky, plastic front and rear bumpers. I'm really not a fan of them. I've already scraped it up off-road because the approach angle just wasn't there. And, of course, I can't put a winch on the front bumper of my stock Wrangler. Now, this is a big deal. A winch is one of the most important off-road tools and the most important off-road recovery setup you can have on any off-road vehicle. So it is essential that I install one on this Jeep if I'm going to be doing a lot of solo off-roading.
Yeah, so tell me, why are these better?
Why are these better? Well, we use 3/16 steel, so it's nice and heavy duty, you know, meant to take the abuse of off-roading. We throw some features in there like the grill guard and the departure roller that we talked about, you know, so it's off-road ready and best top approved.
Now, a big thank you to the kind folk at Warren and Best Top for allowing this install to happen. This is the Best Top high access, high rock 4x4 front bumper. We have the tubular grill guard as well as approach and departure roller because we also have a rear bumper to install. And this is the Ferrari of winches. No, make that the Ferrari LaFerrari of winches because this is the Warren Xeon 10S Platinum. Yeah, that's right, this is one of the most sophisticated winches on the market today. The Xeon 10S Platinum features a remote-controlled clutch, advanced wireless remote with the ability to control 2 accessories, and instant feedback on vehicle battery level and winch temperature. And we will explore the cool features of the winch and the bumpers, but first, let's put them on.
All right, and then any tips on installing these? What's your best tip on how to get these up? You said the rear one's pretty easy, but getting the front stock bumper is a little tricky off.
Correct, yeah, the front stock bumper can be a little bit difficult. There's a specific size extension that you need to weasel it in there and get to the bolts there, but overall it's not too bad, and you know, it should take maybe an hour to 2 hours each. It would be my best guess.
And you said the best tip is that you want to put the winch on the front one before you put the bumper on.
Right, if you're planning to do a winch, you definitely want to put that on first. And it's going to be very heavy and a little awkward, but you definitely will save yourself some effort of taking it back off or trying to, you know, weasel in the nuts from behind.
According to Best Top, our first step will be to install the fair lead onto the winch plate. Next, we install the winch onto the bumper. I also installed the winch cable onto the winch before mounting it to the bumper. The old bumper removal starts with taking off the plastic air dam. And that's that. So there are 8 bolts total that hold this front bumper on. There are 4 on the end caps, 4 in the middle. Now the ones in the middle are very hard to get to and do take some time, so I guess just be patient. Take lots of little breaks. With the 8 bolts removed and the fog lights disconnected, the old front bumper just slid off. There we go.
There we go. Wahoo.
Wahoo. Next, I simply unscrewed the fog light from the bumper. Alright, so no joke, the hardest part of this install so far has been these fog lamps. They've got these little tabs on them, and according to the manual you can just leave them in place, but how they work is they go in these little pods, the pods go into the bumper, and then you've got these little mounts on the outside to keep it all in place. You can see on that one over there. But with these little tabs on, and they don't say to cut them off, the clearances are really, really tight, so I found it very difficult to put these in place. After installing the tubular grill guard, we were ready to put the whole bumper and winch combo onto the Jeep. Cool. Nice, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks good.
So we just put the studs in the holes and it looks to be pretty lined up actually. Okay, we're hooking in the fog lights here. One there. You gotta come over here, out. And one there. Let's see if they work. So let me know what you think of the new front bumper and winch. I think it looks pretty mean so far. Of course, the front end will droop a little bit, so I do have 3/4 inch spacers that I will have to put up front. Just finished up wiring up the winch. Super easy. Just routed the cables along here on the passenger side and straight to the battery. Now this winch has got a switch to turn it on. Yep. And you can see on the controller, we've got connection. So what we do, hold down the left and right buttons. 3 seconds and we're ready to winch. Okay, see if this puppy works. Yahoo! So the winch is on and it's all spooled up, and I gotta tell you, I think it looks great. It's been a good experience putting it on. Probably took me way longer than it should have. Altogether, we probably have 5 hours in the winch, the bumper, and the install. Now there's one more important step to the winch install, and then we have to fix the ride height, because right now, this extra 80 to 100 pounds on the front of the Jeep is really causing it to droop. But first, let's get to the sticker. How's that look? That's great, I love the look of that. All right, now for the suspension.
As far as sag and stuff goes, of course, it's gonna add a bit of sag. The bumper itself is not the lightest, and then you add the winch, which is over 100 pounds. It's gonna definitely add a bit of sag. It depends upon how stiff your suspension is, but a lot of companies make like small coil spacers, like three-quarter coil spacers. If you want to bring it back up, I would say that's probably about the most it would sag, is about 3/4 of an inch or so.
To level the suspension, we need to install some spacers. Begin by jacking up the vehicle and placing it on jack stands. Then remove the wheels and tires. Jack up the axle and remove the bottom sway bar mount and lower shock mount. So here's how this 3/4 inch spacer kit works. So once we have the axle lowered, just pop out the coil here. Like so. Then we've got the isolator, bring that out. And if I can find, here it is, the actual spacer. Isolator goes like this, spacer on top, make a little sandwich. Then this whole shebang goes back up, like that. You've got to reinstall the coil. To finish the lift, jack up the axle, reconnect the sway bar link and rear shock mount, and put on the wheels and tires. Hey, not bad. So at the rear of the vehicle, to begin attaching the new Best Top rear bumper, first we have to take off the tow hook and then the bumper itself. So access is definitely a little bit tricky with the tow hook, so I'm going to try taking the bumper off and then going at the tow hook. There we go. A lot of mud. So my gamble actually ended up paying off. Now that the bumper's off, I've got plenty of room to put a socket onto these bolts that hold the hook on. we go. Put this over here. Okay. All right, now with this new best top bumper in place, we have to get it fitted correctly. So best top requires you to use some of the existing bolts that came off the original bumper and a couple of their own new ones. So I'm going to have my dad help me just get it in position here. So, go up a little bit, please. And a little bit back toward you. That way, toward the rear of the vehicle. Okay, perfect. After tightening up the final bolts and installing the rear departure roller, the installs were complete. And just like that, we are all done. So let's quickly recap what we did together. First of all, we pulled the old front and rear bumper off and replaced them with these best top high rock components. We also put the worn Xeon 10S Platinum up here, some 3/4 spacers up front to keep it right and level, and now we're ready to hit the trails. Stay tuned to the next episode of DiffLock when we take these new upgrades and try them off-road on more Ghost Town adventures. Right now we're a little bit stuck, we're a little bit lost. So these are a bunch of old maps. So we're right here. This is St. John's outside of Montezuma. And you can see it over here on the map in relation to Keystone, Montezuma, St. John's. You've got Peru Creek that goes this way, and then of course Webster Pass. So there's another little tiny mining camp called Preston. And I think there's only one way to get there, which is that way, huh?
Over the creek?
Over the creek.
Hell yeah! Over the creek! Water crossing!